Welcome to the Spilled Ink and Coffee Show, where we take book discussions to a new level.
We don't just read books, we interview them, journal about them, sip coffee, spill thoughts, and explore stories on and off the page.
Grab a cup and get cozy, because every book deserves a great conversation.
On this week's episode, we're joined by a surprise guest, have an impromptu French lesson, props to D&D, chat about kazoos, and of course bring you bold conversation on all things books and storytelling. We've got a latte to discuss, so let's spill some ink. If you're just joining us, we're here with Dahlia and Rachel, and we're now talking about the joy of kazoos.
Kazoos, they are beautiful. I have read one.
Oh, here we go, the kazoo concert.
Oh, this is professional. We have piano and grand piano. Very cool.
Rebecca's on the ends. Now we know what we're going to get David for Easter. We'll get him kazoos.
Oh, we could do a performance.
Oh, we're going to do a performance, Rachel.
Some French songs.
Never seen a kazoo before?
It's not popular in Europe. Then they came and kids, then they have kazoos. I thought, what's kazoo?
And here, almost every kid have that.
Yeah.
I had one as a kid.
It's like a elementary education for music to play kazoos. They march to develop.
But now this is college education.
These are college music majors.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they're bringing back something I think it was lost a long
That
time
is
ago.
what I'm sending my daughter to college for.
To be a kazooist, a professional kazooist. It's brilliant.
So it was brilliant idea. Then I tried it, it still blows, still get like jingle bells, do.
Yeah.
And then everybody do-do's, it gets do-do.
So in a few weeks, after we go to Dollar Tree and get a couple kazoos, we're all going to come here and do.
We'll have to
song.
serenade in a French song for David and Christine.
We just learned that I say you have a sexy ass when I say beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup.
Beaucoup means sexy butt. Beaucoup.
Oh, you beaucoup.
I beaucoup.
That's good bacon too. It's a waffle. Don't you dare.
Dahlia, no.
There was one cup of coffee.
No. Merry Christmas. There you go. See?
I'll accept.
Thank you. We've got a cappuccino. We're fine.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup.
I need more. I have to get more French though before the
Thank
summer.
you.
I have to.
More French?
Because I'm.
Put on a beret. We're French. We're done.
Yes.
Right?
Stop, berets. Stop. I love berets.
You want to wear berets at Easter? All right. Let's order them on Amazon.
You're supposed to wear an Easter bonnet.
Well, we're wearing Easter beret.
Or Easter fascinator.
Yes. What's a fascinator? Just a hat? My bonnet?
It's like what the British wear, like to the horse races and stuff.
I had a raspberry
think you
one.
really need to do some digging into I think you can really find some fascinators that like express you. Like fascinators, you
I
could.
love fascinators. I love beret. I love everything.
I mean, they can be big, they can be small. They can. I mean, you could rock a fascinator.
Yes,
Thank you.
yeah.
So what else is new?
Nothing. We've literally just been Disneying it up, and it's been a party at Disney.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you look like you've been partying at Disney.
There wasn't as much, downtime as I thought we were going to have, so that was kind of but we got a little pool time in, and I'm not working today.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
You don't work tomorrow, right?
So definitely don't work tomorrow, but I have rehearsal.
Oh my gosh, that's right. Okay. So exciting. Now that I understand, like, I told you it hit me. I was like, oh my God, she's going to play a lesbian. It's like
A British lesbian.
It's like, this is amazing. So are you so excited? Because you at first weren't even sure that you're going to be casted.
I'm kind of numb. I read through my script and highlighted everything while I was at Disney, and wow, there's a lot of lines to learn and only 5 weeks to learn them. So we have our first read through tonight, and then I think we might have rehearsal Sunday. And I have to master a British accent. in 5 weeks.
You'll be fine.
So if sometime on this podcast I start speaking in a British accent, just go with it. Let it happen. We're going to roll with it.
We will let it happen.
Yeah, because of this play and the British accent I need to develop, I was like, well, I need to get a book that's British and listen to it. I listened to one. I was like, you know what? I should get my next Harry Potter book as an audio and listen to that. So I pulled it up. Almost 37 hours.
Oh my
And I'm like,
stars.
I don't know if I can commit
that much time this month because of the
right
show.
now to that. I don't know.
The play in itself is a book. I think
which I read.
Count.
I counted it this time. I did count it this time. So yeah,
all right, yay, I love this. This is perfect. In my dream last night, I saw Mojo and I was feeding her chicken. And I was in a high school from when I was a kid where we did dance recitals. And we're watching The Wizard of Oz, but it was everybody in the cast except for Judy because obviously she was gone, but somehow everybody else lived.
Oh.
And so she had a replacement. It's a weird freaking dream.
Aw,
I know.
poor Judy.
Poor Judy. Poor Judy. I don't even know who that girl was. I was like, okay, whatever.
No Judy Garland.
No Judy Garland. I did bring a book for show and tell because I promised that you would get a look at that. So I just handed you Star Trek, I guess it's the D&D adventure book.
Oh.
This is where you can they're campaigns. So you can do your sci-fi D&D, which Andrew and I have been building slowly, all of the accoutrements for the tabletop.
Oh, really?
And it's not necessarily Star Trek, but it is sci-fi. And you can design your character at Hero Forge and sculpt it and pick it and design it. And then for $7 buy the file, send it to me and I'll 3D print it. And then your character can live. If you're interested, we've never done this before.
I've never.
I figure as theater people, it can't be that hard. We're just acting, right? But I figured this would be good to read. So it gave me more insight on what's happening with Lower Decks.
So you read this whole thing?
Mm-mm.
No. Okay.
No. But I found it colorful. And it looks like there's information that I need to know. So we have the Cerritos handbook, right?
Right. I actually have that. Which I need to get back to you because I've read it.
Oh, okay, cool. Whatever.
It's sitting behind my desk.
So and it's fine. It can live there for all I care. I know where all the Star Trek stuff lives. Which this summer, Klingons in the backyard are coming. I posted.
I saw that.
It's like, oh, he's grilling. It's so cute. But I feel like this is a deeper extension of the handbook. I felt like this must be more about the people and the crew. I don't know. I gotta read it to find out. But
interesting.
You'd be the one to look through it very much like this and be like, okay, this is how you feel about it.
I don't know what I think about it.
I know. That's what I think too. I don't know either. Because from what I understand on my D&D friends, is that you can either write your own campaign or you can play other people's pre-written campaigns. And when I was at a comic shop or hobby shop in London, I found one that I just wanted to read as a story because it was Firefly inspired, and I love the show Firefly. But the artwork for me, it's always look at the pictures.
It's always. Oh, is that a camo badgie?
Right, I don't know. It's so crazy. I don't know what to expect in this book.
I'm interested to hear
what I discover.
It's beautiful.
Well, Cisco is next in my Star Trek world. So
okay.
That's definitely where that's at. And I needed to show you the book.
Merci.
Je vous en prie.
Yep, that too.
What is Jujo Volche?
I'm assuming you're welcome, which is something I need to learn.
Okay. What? Say it again.
Je vous en prie.
Jujo.
Je.
Vous.
En. Prie.
Prie.
Je vous en prie.
So now you make the liaison.
Have you ever?
You say delete?
Have you ever watched the show Friends?
No.
Okay, I'm going to pull something up the next time you come around. You have to see it because it's just exactly what happened here in French. So, je vous en prie. No,
Je vous en prie.
Je vous en prie.
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 Prie. Je vous en prie.
Yes.
Yay.
Je vous en prie. Je vous
Three.
prie. Prie.
T-R-I-E. Free.
Why is there a P? P.
Prie. I can't
For you, you will say free.
Prie.
For us, it's free.
Je vous en prie.
Oh, that was a good one.
Okay.
You did
Just
it.
come back in a minute. Do you know what I'm talking about, the Friends episode?
I don't know this episode, but I
It's
know
where-
about Friends.
Phoebe speaks French.
I figured it was going to be Phoebe.
And Joey has claimed for an acting role that he knows French.
oh.
So she's going to teach him French, and what just happened right here is basically what happens.
I can see
Only
you as Phoebe, 100%.
it's je vous en prie. Je vous en prie. Je vous en prie. Hold on. Friends, Phoebe. Sorry, I'm totally going
I got
down.
it. Go down the rabbit hole. I'm joining you. I'm living for the rabbit hole.
I think this is it. Truly
Oh my
are.
gosh, that was hilarious.
Well, I cannot wait to find out what happens with that.
Me either. I know. Thank
And now
goodness
I've
we have
already forgotten
laminations.
how to say
P. The last thing was
Just
P. P. I can remember like that.
I don't know. I got confused by the je m'appelle.
I was like, grateful one. I was like, okay. So have you been reading a lot? Like,
So let's see.
so we're on Dial M for Murder.
Well,
right?
no, Alice Network.
Oh, okay. So here we go.
So I've got 3 today.
Yay.
I'm handing them to you.
Thank you. And now we shall start with what is the title of this first book and who is the author?
The Alice Network by Kate Quinn.
And now let's go through format and why did you pick up this book?
So it was an audiobook from the library. I've read quite a few. Kate Quinn, she does all historical fiction. And a friend of mine also likes Kate Quinn, read it, recommended it. So that's why and it finally became available from the library. I requested it like 3 months ago.
We still got a library trip. 4 stars. Okay. So what made you pick this book?
I like the author. I've read a bunch
Okay.
of hers. And then a friend of mine who also likes that author said this was her favorite out of Kate Quinn's books.
Interesting. So it's part of Reese Witherspoon's book club. Now I find her book club actually, they read a lot of heavy stuff. Have you seen her?
I've read quite a few Reese's books.
Would you agree or disagree? I mean, it's fine. Everybody's book clubs are different.
There's not a lot of like fluffy chick lit. She doesn't pick many of those.
I like that you called it chicklet. It's my favorite gum as a child. My Nana would give us chiclets.
Oh,
I know
yeah.
it's not a chicklet.
It's-
No, because she has a very intense brain. That girl.
Yeah, but like she read one of the other ones I read last year, First Fly Wins. That was a thriller. That was a Reese pick. So I don't know. I don't classify thrillers as heavy. I want to analyze and like find the clues.
Because you're a
and find the
detective.
hints.
Because you're
And I'm
detectiving.
too busy doing that to get emotionally wrapped up in
Right.
the situation.
Because then you become the detective.
Yeah.
And I think that's so cool.
Well,
That's just who you are.
I think that's a really good way of describing the 2 different types of.
But that would
readers,
still be
yeah.
heavy for me because I don't know if I can figure this crap out. Somewhere there's math involved.
Oh.
And then as soon as numbers come in,
Yeah,
I
well,
shut down.
I'm not numbers and I don't go on.
So what were your first thoughts when you started reading this book? Is this historical fiction?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
It centers, it has 2 different points of view. It jumps back and forth between basically World War I and post World War II. So I knew, like, based on the reading, that this was about a female spy network in World War I.
Whoa, see, we went right to spies.
Right.
This
But
is
I
amazing.
didn't, but the way the book starts, it starts post World War II, and it's about a girl who's pregnant out of wedlock, whose mom is taking her to Switzerland for an abortion, but doesn't know if that's what she wants.
Holy crap.
And she's determined to find her cousin, and she gets wrapped up with these
Spy women?
spy woman.
Okay.
She's not a spy anymore, but she has her own kind of mission. Like, Charlie, who's the pregnant girl, has a mission to find her cousin. Eve, who's the spy, has a different mission, which I'm not going to say because that'll give too much away.
Okay.
And it's kind of so it jumps back and forth between Eve's story in World War I and them all together post World War II.
That's a lot of time that passes.
It's a lot, and I think it's a lot. Yeah.
So did it hook you right away, or did it take time to get into it?
It took a minute to get into it. It did. I liked this book a lot, but it's not my favorite Kate Quinn. I know I gave it 4 stars, but
Yeah, but it must be because you enjoy how she writes.
I do enjoy how she writes.
Okay.
And I like that she is constantly changing point of views.
So now, real quick, World War I, is this where the spy women were? Like, how?
Yeah, which
This is insane. This is new information.
Which I put in my review was that you hear, like, there's been books written about, female spies and how they used females in World War II and the resistance. But I'd not heard about World War I before. So that's why that was really interesting. Like Eve, who's the spy, and I put this in the review, I liked her story more than Charlie's story.
So let me ask you this. Is Eve her real name?
Evelyn is, yes, but she goes by Eve.
Interesting. So would we consider Eve the first female spy?
No.
Really?
Because she's in the Alice Network, which was already established, which is real. You can look it up. It was a real network.
To me.
She was recruited into the Alice Network.
This is why I like that
And
we read totally different books, because I'm finding all this fascinating.
Yeah. The Alice Network was an all-female spy network in World War I.
Is this a movie?
Not that I know of, no. I don't know. It might have been purchased, but it's not a movie.
I feel like everything you've been reading lately are the best movies to come. And I'm saying that, and I hope that prediction is correct. And then later in life, I'll be Cleo, and everybody will call my 900 number.
Yeah.
So, Eve's your favorite character?
Yes.
And were there characters that you liked, disliked, or found frustrating?
I found Charlie frustrating.
I'm not thrilled with the name. What's her real name?
Charlene.
Okay.
Her mom's French. I mean, she was born in America, but I think her real name was Charlene, but she goes by Charlie.
How did they come to call her Charlie? Do they even say?
It's just a nickname that her cousins called her.
I got it. Okay. Which is unusual for that time period.
Yeah.
What was the most memorable or most powerful scene? So far, just the premise of the book and Eve's story. For me, I haven't read it. I feel like, whoa, power.
I think without giving spoilers, when Eve kind of makes a really big decision about her spying and what she has to do to get the information, it's like she turns a corner and there's no going back once she turns that corner. And there's a whole chapter of her thought process of walking through how far is she willing to go to get the information that would help win the war.
Wow, it becomes that intense that the information that we're seeking is going to help win the war.
Yeah.
Holy crow. So now, is that the main idea, the big theme?
I think the big theme is, how far are you willing to go? How much of yourself are you willing to sacrifice? And that kind of weaves in a little bit with Charlie. What are you willing to sacrifice? How much of yourself are you willing to change or give up? And that's part of my issue with Charlie. She's bleh. And up until she really gets to know Eve and understand Eve and her story, she's just like a limp rag.
Huh.
And literally just sways in the wind, but she's intelligent. She's a mathematical genius. But as a person, she just floats in the wind, literally.
But she's pregnant.
Yeah.
And we're seeking to terminate that.
Her mom is.
Okay, it wasn't her necessarily.
Not her necessarily.
All right, because that's an old school way of thinking.
Yeah.
So interesting. Did the book make you think differently about anything, especially being historical fiction?
I think differently about World War I, because I really didn't know about the role that women played in World War I, because it's not explored. You're saying right now, I didn't know about
My
that.
mind is totally blown.
I didn't
did
know
it last week.
Yep,
Doing it again.
I didn't know that the Alice Network was a real thing.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah.
The only thing that was the Alice Network that I know is Raccoon City in Resident Evil. So now let's talk about quotes and audiobooks, because in our physical books, we got the tabbies.
Right.
How is it that you're getting, like, how do you work that with your journal?
Totally great question. I highly recommend going to Goodreads and searching for the book. There are so many quotes that are in there by people who've read the physical books and have entered those quotes. So I go through those and find the quotes there, because there's so, like, there were 100 quotes. The Kindle and the Goodreads are linked. So when I'm reading on my Kindle and highlighting on my Kindle,
because you can highlight Kindle,
and because if you've purchased it through Kindle, your highlights, you can have those highlights show up for everybody else to see on Goodreads.
Oh, no way!
Yeah. So now that's not like the book I'm reading right now is a NetGalley, so it won't show up on my
because it's a pre
right. But I will But if it's purchased on Kindle and you're highlighting in Kindle, then you have the option for it to show up in your Goodreads.
So, guys, you need to go to Rachel's Goodreads and friend her, because you're giving them some good stuff. Can you read whatever you want in college as a language arts major, or you still have a signed reading?
As an English major, you have
You don't have anywhere. Hey, this month, kids, you get to pick your own.
In college, you're handed a syllabus with the 7 to 8 novels that you will read that semester. And God bless you if you're anything like me and took 4 English classes a semester. So you were reading, well over 35 novels in 3 months.
I am processing the number.
It's a lot.
Wow.
It's a lot.
Was there anything in this book that you wish they had done differently?
I wish they had I understand, like, the whole point was for Charlie to kind of learn and figure out who she was from Eve. I just wish they'd given Charlie more of a backbone to begin with, or really made use of this idea that she was a genius with numbers. I feel like that was just like a plot point that was kind of discarded. Like, it was brought up that this is why she went to college and that she could add quickly and, do...
But it needed to have more relevance.
I needed...
And significance.
If you're going to bring it up as often as they did, but yet it still didn't play like a major plot point.
It didn't even help with the spy parts of things.
No. So that's probably something I would change. Either make a bigger deal out of it or take it out.
Okay. Which character would be the worst to get stuck in an elevator with, and why?
The main character, Eve, because she always has her Luger with her.
Oh.
And if you catch her when she's having one of her nightmares, pray that it's not loaded.
Oh my. So now you've given us a little extra peek in there.
Giving you a little extra something there.
That you did. Would you recommend this book? Why or why not?
I would recommend it if you like historical fiction. If you do not like historical fiction, don't read this book. There's not enough
action.
There's a lot of action, but there's too much history.
I see.
Floating around. If you don't like history, this book isn't going to be your jam.
So if this does become a movie and Eve is a character, what actress would you cast as Eve?
And Angelica Houston.
Wow, you didn't hesitate one bit.
Because that's exactly who I pictured in my head when I was reading it.
All right, you got that. Hopefully she's listening and she knows that this is for her. We already rated the book a 4-star. Why'd you give it 4 stars? Just because of Charlie?
Yes. It probably would have been a 3-star if it was just Charlie. Eve bumped it up to 4 stars.
Okay, got it. So now we're going to move on to the next book, which is Dial M for Murder, and now you're in a show, and it's a progressive casting, which is great. I like that we can do adaptations. Mm-hmm. We were chit-chatting earlier how years ago at a theme park I worked at, cast members, we had our own theater, community theater, and we did Godspell as M&Ms.
As one does.
I was the green M&M. I was like,
Oh, did you have little booty heels like the green M&M does?
We just dressed in solid colors. Like, we didn't even have a round thing with an M on it.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Poor production quality when your community theater, even in that big of a deal. Now, as you're preparing for that, you're reading this. So Dial M for Murder. And the author.
It's adapted
by Jeffrey
Hatcher.
Yeah. Why is this an adaptation? Explain to people what's the difference from original work, which is Frederick Knott, and why we're adapted.
So in the original work, the wife has had an affair with another man, and in the adaptation, the wife has had an affair with a woman.
Oh, that's not the director didn't make that choice. This was already rewritten that
Correct.
way.
This is
for the director.
Correct.
Oh my goodness, I'm excited.
Yes, but it's still, so the original play did take place in early 1950s in England. This play also takes place in the early 1950s in England. If you're at all familiar with Dial M for Murder, there's the Alfred Hitchcock version with Grace Kelly in it. I think that this actually makes more sense because if you think about it, so in the 1950s, because the husband, Tony, knows the boyfriend. Like, he's an author, the husband's a publisher, they know each other. Would a husband in the 1950s really be okay with his wife spending all of this free time with this other man, writing letters to this other man, and not be suspicious of a relationship?
Right.
So to me, it actually makes more sense that it's a woman that she had an affair with because they're, as
They're trapped housewives.
and that these two just kind of found
right.
each other. And so to me, it actually makes sense that
100%.
that eventually the husband suspected it was a man, but then he realizes it's her best friend. That, to me, the fact that it's a woman makes more sense. And then that makes when the affair is exposed even more scandalous because it is, and she's so desperate to hide this affair, not just because it's an affair, but because it's an affair with a woman.
Yeah.
And she doesn't want, that exposed. So
It's brilliant.
I always thought, we're just doing this, whatever, okay, to modernize it a little bit. But
After you reread
once I
it, when you
reread
read
it,
your script?
it made so much more sense that it was two women, because that is something that would go under the radar for much longer than a man and a woman.
So this is a review of the script.
Yes.
Okay, just to everybody be sure. So if you want to reread Dial M for Murder and you want to have this version, then you have to go through Samuel French to get it.
No, you can buy it on Amazon.
You can. Okay, great. So what were your first thoughts when you started reading this? Because this is a whole new concept, which we just went over. So what were you thinking at first?
I like, and part of it is I've seen this movie a million times. And I love the Alfred Hitchcock version of this movie. It's fantastic. But I liked that they jumped right in and developed the relationship between the two women. Like, that's how it starts, with the two women trying to rediscover their friendship after they've broken up.
So is that what hooked you right away? Or
the back and forth that they have throughout the entire script.
you're going to be performing this on stage, so this brings a very unique perspective. So I think I'd rather ask you, which moment are you most excited to perform on stage?
I think when Margot, the wife, is fighting for her innocence because she's ultimately accused of murdering somebody, and she's blown away. She doesn't understand how she's being accused of murdering him when it was clearly self-defense. And just the slow burn panic that happens in her as she starts to realize, no one's believing me. No one's believing me.
I can't wait to see you convey that on stage, because that has to translate silently from actor to audience.
Yeah.
And to me, that's an exciting moment.
And somehow with a British accent.
And that just takes me to, didn't you hear I stuck a pair of scissors into a man last night? I'm a murderer now.
And that's the beginning of that scene.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Because how are you going to say it? Because it's still a period piece.
Right.
This is not a now.
And she's talking
I'm so excited about
she's
this.
talking to Maxine at that point.
Are tickets already on sale?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to buy my tickets when we're done with this. So do you have a favorite character from this script if it's not your own?
Maxine, the girlfriend, 100%.
Okay, because why?
She is strong. She is smarter than all the men in the room, and she's going to let them know that she's smarter than all of them.
So who's the character you like the least?
The husband.
Is there a frustrating character? Is there like that character you're like, why do you need to be here?
Probably the inspector, just because he's the one who arrests her. Like, I think because you've read it and you, like, as the viewer, as the reader, as you're either watching this play or reading it, you know what happens when she's like, you know who set her up. You know how she was set up. You see it all.
You watch it, right?
You watch it happen. You hear it happen. So I think that's where the frustrating piece comes in with him, because as either the reader or the viewer, you know.
Does this version make you think differently about anything other than what you've already said, that it makes more sense?
No, it just makes sense that it's two women. It really does.
And what's your favorite quote so far? Like, what is the line you can't wait to say?
That I killed a man.
That's perfect, because this is the one time someone like you can actually say you did that.
I killed a man, and I got to figure out how to say that in the
when you're cleaning your house, instead of singing French songs.
I'm just going to walk around saying I killed a man.
That's it.
But I killed a man. I had to find to say it in a British accent, but a proper British accent.
So next week what you're saying is we're going to have to use a British accent the entire time.
The entire podcast must be completed
I like
in
that.
a British accent.
So guys, the next one after this is going to be all with a British accent as much as we can. I love that. Hey, we're not boring.
No.
Okay, and then if you're British and listening, you can like tell us where we failed. Where did we fail you?
Please tell me how to say Tony with a British accent.
What? Tommy?
Tony.
The name. I can't. That's so New York. How do you do that?
I don't know. I have to learn.
All right. If I go to Country Line with the British Army tonight with my husband,
would you please?
I will ask them.
How do you say? Record them saying. Tony,
I will.
Tony.
I'll actually hold up a thing and say this word. I'll press record. Say this word.
Yep. That's what I need.
Tony,
darling.
I think that's the only way you can do it. And are you kind of a refined lady?
Yes.
So maybe you need to throw darling at the end.
Well,
in your mind.
In my mind.
So let's do the weird ass questions.
Okay.
I kind of like this. Let's do this one with the chaos, quick fire chaos. If this book had a smell, what would it be?
Whiskey.
Ooh, who in this book is definitely two raccoons in a trench coat?
The inspector.
If the villain had therapy, would they still be a villain?
Yeah, absolutely.
Which character would get scammed by a prince from Nigeria?
Margot.
If you had to fist fight one character in a Walmart parking lot at 3 a.m., who would it be?
Tony.
Tony darling.
Tony darling.
What's the most chaotic way this book could have ended?
Oh, a chaotic car chase through 1950s London.
Perfect. Wee-woo, wee-woo, wee-woo. If aliens found this book as their only record of humanity, what would they assume? This is the adapted version.
So clearly, heterosexual marriage does not work out, and we should just all be homosexual.
I love that. Oh my gosh, this is brilliant. And now knowing this, rename the book 5 words or less.
For the love of women.
Yes. And that's where we turn the page on the third review. The book, Emma, by Jane Austen, an audio, 5 stars.
Anything by Jane Austen is always going to be a 5-star for me.
Now, why is this called an Audible original?
So this is because it's like, we talked about it last year. 1982 was done almost it was an Audible original. It was almost done as a radio play where actors acted out the parts. So this was the same. Emma Thompson narrates, and
wow,
and then there's all the different characters are acted out, and there's sound effects in the background.
Yes, is there a soundtrack too? Underscore?
No, yeah, in parts at the beginning and the ends of each chapter.
We have underscores. I love that. People, please put music underscoring your freaking audibles. But I love that this one is actually more like a play, old radio program.
Yes, that's why it's Audible original. Yeah.
See, we learn things here. What made you want to listen to this one?
A couple of reasons. Number one, it was free. Number two, I love Jane Austen more than anything. And number three, I was looking for British things to listen to help me with my accent for the show.
I think this was probably a great one.
Yes,
I
wanted
on your actor list.
I wanted more refined British accents, and this was a joy to listen to.
So what were your first thoughts when you started? Like as soon as you started listening?
My God, Emma's a snob.
Okay, well, I mean, that checks out. That
Yep.
tracks.
Yep.
Did this hook you right away, or did it take time?
Oh no, always Jane Austen hooks right away.
Who's your favorite character?
Mr. Knightley.
Why?
He's the voice of reason. He keeps Emma on track when she starts to get a little...
I like his name, Mr. Knightley.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
George Knightley.
I picture him as a cat. Were there any characters that you just were not fond of?
Mrs. Elton.
Elton?
Elton.
Mrs. Elton John?
Mrs. Elton.
What was her issue?
She was just an awful human being. Thought so much of herself for no reason at all.
So she's a typical British older lady.
No, she's young.
Oh.
She's young. Rebecca and I were talking about Jane Austen, and it's really funny because Mrs. Elton is married to Mr. Elton, who is the parish vicar. And we realized Jane Austen must have had a real problem with the church because in almost all of her books, the vicar is like either an absolute moron, stupid, forces himself on women, is only someone can force themselves on a woman in 1812. So Mr. Elton's despicable. He marries a despicable woman, so they go well together.
Interesting. The quotes I'm reading are really great so far. I like this one that vanity working on a weak head produces every sort of mischief. Think about that for a minute. It is absolutely correct. Correct. That's where Mean Girls came out of that quote.
Yep. And that's where Mrs. Elton lives. Vanity and
she's a mean girl.
And an empty head.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I like the next one too. Business, may bring money, but friendship hardly ever does. But you're still rich in friendship. Like that's,
yeah.
Is that the point of the quote? Is that how that translates in the story?
It's talking about just don't talk money with friends.
With friends, got it.
Don't try to get into business with friends.
Agreed. And I put Jell-O on that list. Try bringing up Jell-O as a conversation and let me know how it turns out in your house.
Okay.
So far, everybody has said for some reason that gets into a heated debate.
Interesting.
Because it does in my house. We do not speak of Jell-O, especially homemade Jell-O jigglers at Easter. What was the most memorable or most powerful scene? This just sounds like so much fun, just from what I'm reading.
When Emma speaks horrific, like humiliates Miss Bates. Publicly. I think it's powerful because she I think for the first time she realizes that her words and how she acts truly do affect people in a negative, like she's not perfect. And I think that moment is pretty big because it changes the course of a lot of things in the book.
Words are powerful.
Yeah.
Words are powerful. So much so, I'm actually going to share what I am now deeming my favorite quote that Rachel has ever written in a review. And I quote, "The way that some of these characters speak to each other would make drag queens blush." This is the best thing you have ever said in a review. And now I am just picturing the spin-off version of this.
Yeah. Now, in fairness, I had just watched the most recent episode of Drag Race.
Are we in a new season already?
Oh yeah, we're in season 17.
Oh cool, all right,
yeah,
I'm not
we're
there.
In the top 6 right now. But anyway, Rebecca and I had just watched it, and then I went and did my review. But I just, and it's, it's totally 1800s Jane Austen language. But if that's your jam and you really listen to this book, you're like, that is so shady. Oh my gosh, I can't believe they're saying this to each other. Like, how they're literally talking about her, right? Like they're sitting at the dinner table. the girls across the table from them, and they're laughing at her and making fun of her and saying terrible things, like right across the table. Oh my God.
Yes, that's the quote that's going to stick with me for a while. Does this book make you think differently about anything?
No.
It's all the things that you've already known.
Yeah, I mean, I've read this book so many times. I wanted to read it. I wanted to listen. I listened to it, and it was perfect.
I bet it's a different experience, obviously, when you're listening to it as with cast members, as opposed to just reading it and you having to use your imagination.
I mean, I read this in high school. I read it in college.
So it's
I read it outside of college.
Now, would you change or do anything differently? Now, speaking of it as an audio full cast.
No. I mean, this was like...
Other than adding underscores.
This was like as perfect an audio book as it could be.
That's why it's 5 stars.
I really, this was a great read. A great read. Great listen.
All right. So that makes me, remind me to screenshot that, put this on my list. That makes me want to go. Your enthusiasm, if you could see her eyes light up, guys. And who would you recommend this to?
Anyone. Anyone.
And we're not going to talk of adapting it into a movie because it sounds like
it's been movies, it's been miniseries.
And it sounds like this is the best version of all of that.
The most recent movie was excellent. The most recent movie version that came out maybe like 5-6 years ago.
Which character is most likely to get banned from a Denny's at 2 a.m.?
Frank Churchill.
Why? That's not who I expected you to say. So as soon as he gets to Denny's, what's happening that he gets banned? Like now I need to know how this dude...
He's making a scene.
Over what at 2 a.m.?
How the eggs aren't cooked correctly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nobody complains about that at Denny's at 2 a.m.
Yeah, Frank Churchill will. Yeah.
All right. So what is coming up on your list? What do we have up and coming?
So I am trying desperately to finish Wearing the Lion, which I'm hopefully going to finish tomorrow.
Okay.
And it's not because it's not good. I just, being at Disney and coming home, like I was lucky if I read 20 pages at night.
We're on spring break for all of you who are still with us. We're at spring break, and now she's in a play.
I started listening to 2 different books. One is a short story called The Gift by Frida McFadden, who I adore. It's just a retelling of The Gift of the Magi, so the English teacher and me had to read it. And then I started listening to The Songbird in the Heart of Stone. That is the 3rd book in the Crowns of Nexia series. Vampires. And then after I finish Wearing the Lion, I'm going to start The Bones Beneath My Skin by T.J. Klune.
Ooh, what's the premise of that? The title is boring. Okay.
I don't know.
It's a mystery together.
I love T.J. Klune. I love The House on the Cerulean Sea and Far Beyond the Sea. Those are 2 of my favorite books last year. And this is his new book, and I managed to get myself an autographed copy. Very cool. I'm going to read that. And then on Sunday, I'm going to an author event
at Port Key.
It's with Laura Gilmore and her new book. She writes cozy romances is the best way I can
Hopefully we get a video short of that.
Hold on. Yes, I will. And she's going to be there. So she's going to be reading from the new book, The Strawberry Patch Pancake House.
Oh, that sounds lovely.
So we're going to be having pancakes. And
what? I can't wait. I want videos. I want pictures.
Yep.
I want you telling us like what this whole thing is like. But we'll start here with the latest episode of Welcome to Night Vale, the fictional podcast.
So is this the 3rd episode?
This is the 3rd episode.
Okay. Station Management.
The title of it is Station Management.
And what made you continue? So this is your 3rd one.
Because I got to know what's going on. This town is messed up.
Okay, so this is again another standalone event in this town.
100% standalone.
Newspaper kiosks will now be filled with 2% milk due to a literary decline.
Yes, so we're having a hard time in Night Vale with literacy and books right now, as you'll soon find out. We're not sure what's going on, but the library is currently closed.
in Night Vale, guys. So by the end, listening to all of these, how the station managers run the station that we're hearing all of this news from in Night Vale, you come to the conclusion that these are tentacle aliens.
Oh my.
And they eat interns, I think, because it's Jeff and I forgot the other guy.
Chad. Yeah.
Chad and
Jerry.
Chad and Jerry are gone. These poor interns.
Okay. But before I forget. So you gave this one 4 flowers.
Yeah.
And you gave the last one, the Glow Cloud, 5 flowers.
Yeah.
What was not 5 flowers worth in?
Because I had to listen to it so many times
Okay.
to understand what I kept missing.
Okay.
And I say, in my review, I say, I feel like I have to have a different part of my brain working when you're listening to anything that has to do with Night Vale. It's almost like they think on a different frequency or think laterally. Yes, it hooked me right away because I was already like, did you just say what I thought you said?
Okay, so which character would 100% join a pyramid scheme?
I'm going to say Chad if he had lived. I meant probably Chad and Jerry. Because they got eaten by aliens, so they would be the first ones to join pyramid schemes.
Will you keep listening?
I will, but at a much slower pace than I thought.
Any last thoughts that you want to add about this?
Can't wait to see what happens. The next one's called PTA meeting.
Okay. So
Something new
Something new is this.
has happened in my book that has never happened before.
We have a 2-pager, guys. We have a 2-pager.
I had to...
Now, hold on. Before we even get into all the coffee cups that this got, this says best of 2025. I swear the last time we met, you had another one was the best of 2025.
I do, is Bella.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So this is now. Okay.
But
so,
yes, we can have multiples of the year.
Okay. So this is Before the Coffee Gets Cold. The author, and please forgive me if I'm mispronouncing this,
Toshikazu
Kawaguchi.
Perfect. Good job. You did it.
One would think I'd actually been to Japan.
You would think.
This is a hardcover. The genre is
I had to look this up, and that's actually...
fictional magic, fantasy realism. I love that there's a cat on the cover. Is this a translation?
Yes.
Translated from Japanese by, it looks like, Jeffrey Trosselet. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced that. Okay.
But thanks, Jeffrey.
Yeah. I'd like to give a shout out. So while I kind of look over and there are a lot.
So you got to start here and go that way.
Okay.
Backwards. It's like manga. And I had to do what you do. I had to cut a page out and I had to look at the seams to make sure I wasn't going to cut out a page.
Oh, you
and
did.
Paste it in.
Oh, I see that now.
I had to do a cut and paste job.
It happens. When you have to do a cut and paste job, there's nothing
And then
wrong
it led
with
me
that.
down a whole nother rabbit hole of going, great. As I'm finishing this book, I am going and searching for my ultimate next book of how I'm going to use my journal. So I'm now on the journey of what kind of a book am I going to get for the future. The future.
Okay. So give me a little bit. So we've got the title, the author, we've got the genre, the format. What made you pick up the book?
Because it's a coffee house and it's a Japanese translation.
Okay.
And it was recommended by Port Key when I was working on translated books, looking for Siddhartha, because I wanted a correct translation in a good format. And then she said, hey, by the way, since I saw you picked up another Japanese translated book and you got this translated book, let me recommend Before the Coffee Gets Cold. And I was like, cool, yeah. And I bought it. And it sat in my TBR pile for probably 2 months.
Okay.
Maybe 3.
What were your first thoughts when you started reading it?
I didn't get hooked right away.
Okay.
Not at all. I mean, the first quote out the gate that I enjoyed says that my work is my love. And I was like, oh, this is going to be like a romance, and she's trying to, make it work with this boyfriend, but he's all like, no, I love my work, so we can't be together. So I'm going to move to America, and you're going to have to stay here. And she's full of woes because she never got to tell him how she really felt. And had she told him, she thought that maybe things could change and then they could be together and he wouldn't have left. But you got to get through that mushy stuff, and I'm not into the mushy stuff. The whole premise is she wants to go back and change something in time.
There's a whole lot of rules listed here.
Yes.
The first rule, the fifth rule, and the final rule, which the final rule has to do with before the coffee gets cold. How do the rules come into play?
So what it is this coffee shop has a history, and it was in the magazines, and then people would come because they were told that if you come here, you can go back in time. And you can go and do the things. And of course, there's all these rules you don't know until you get there. Like when you come, you have to wait for the lady who's sitting in that chair to leave. It's one chair that you can sit in to go back in time. And when she leaves, then you can sit there. But you don't know why this woman's there. And she is as real as day to you and I. But she's not cute, but she's not real. But she occupies this chair. She reads a novel while she sits there. So that she has to leave. Then you have to sit in that chair. You can only stay in that chair. You can't move from it or you'll be lost in time when you go back in time. And to know the things to bring you back so you don't get lost in time or become the next woman who permanently sits in that chair. You're poured a cup of coffee and that's your time. If you don't finish the coffee before it gets cold, you become the new woman who's permanently sitting in that chair forever.
What a cool concept.
It is a cool concept. And now, if you're back in time and you're in that chair, you have to drink the coffee. You're not allowed to leave that chair. So if you're back in time and you're hoping to meet somebody to change something, they could only have ever been in that shop to see them. So there's all these rules. And then people, after it was publicized, stopped going because it just became an urban legend because nobody wanted to do these ridiculous rules.
Got it. So that's where each person receives only a single chance. The present does not change.
So whether you're going back or as you find out later, someone says, well, I want to go to the future. And it's like, wait a minute, what? Nobody knew you actually could go to the future because it's a crapshoot because the future doesn't exist. By page 200 and something, I go, I want to direct this on stage.
That was about to be my next question.
Yeah.
I saw that you said you wanted to direct this.
I do. I was like, oh my gosh, it was so amazing. I could so see this. And at that same exact time, I had another thought, and I don't know if you got to it yet.
That this is some kind of, that it's some kind of new age generation version of Steel Magnolias.
Holy shiest it is. This is, if I could have a Japanese whimsical translated version of Steel Magnolias that I could relate to in today's day and age, this is the Steel Magnolias of now. And that's what made me at that moment go, oh my God, I want to direct this. This is Steel Magnolias. I was in the show, but I never would want to direct it, but I would direct this version of it.
So is this a series then?
Let's first go, when I get to the end and the back jacket, I read at the end
That it was a play.
it is actually a play.
Okay.
Mind blown. And yes, the stories continue of what's happening, and I can't wait because I want to know the woman in the chair. We don't know why she's permanently there. What happened?
Yeah, because there's clearly something with, because there's if I'm looking at the back of the book jacket and there's a chair on every single cover. Interesting.
So it's everybody's stories and journeys.
Well, it's definitely on my now TBR list. So
Right. Well, the book's going to live with you now.
I love that because it might, there's no might. It's now officially on my April TBR list.
And it's an easy read.
Oh yeah, I can read this fast.
It was a hard, just don't worry about the dog ears. I told you I ran out of tabbies. So many tabbies. Just when you thought you knew all the rules, there's more rules.
I love this. Okay.
But it is. So I read it in 3 hours.
Perfect. It's coming with me. Okay. I have 2 other questions for you, but I want to do the quick fire chaos questions.
Oh, wow.
About
this one? Crazy.
I know. Well, I feel like, especially if you're telling me that it's a fictional magical fantasy realism,
Yes.
I feel that's chaos right there.
Great. I got to get names ready.
Okay. Go find your names. Go find your names. Okay. So if this book had a smell, what would it be?
It would smell like musty coffee.
Okay. Not just coffee.
Musty coffee.
Musty coffee. All right.
Musty coffee.
Who in this book is definitely 2 raccoons in a trench coat?
Fumiko's husband.
If the villain had therapy, would they still be a villain?
That's interesting because I have to pick if there is a villain in here
Okay.
who the villain is going to be. And I'm going to say it's the lady who occupies the chair.
Oh. Now I'm
And-
even more interested
And
in
if
reading
she
this.
had therapy, would she change? No. Her demeanor doesn't ever change.
So which character would get scammed by a prince from Nigeria?
Fumiko's husband.
Oh, I can't wait to read about him.
It's
All right,
Fumiko's
so then if you had to fist fight one character in a Walmart parking lot at 3 a.m., who would it be?
Who am I gonna fist fight? I'm gonna fist fight Gordo's fiance because she's the whole reason this whole book gets started is because she's so stupid for not telling him. But if she did tell him right away that she loved him, then this wouldn't have happened.
What's the most chaotic way this book could have ended?
I'm gonna retract my statement about this is a retelling of Steel Magnolias. This is Steel Magnolias having a baby with Somewhere in Time. You remember that Christopher Reeves movie, right?
Yep.
This is those two having a baby.
Okay.
So the most chaotic way this ends is with Christopher Reeves, Jane Seymour, and Julia Roberts with Sally Field all showing up at the cafe. When we are sitting in the chair, focusing, you turn to steam. When you're getting your cup, they explain the effects of how you go back to time and you become one with the coffee steam, like an apparition, which I imagine that's how Christopher Reeves laying on the bed holding the little watch that was broken or whatnot.
That is quite chaotic, but love it. So if aliens found this book as their only record of humanity, what would they assume about us?
God damn it. Why couldn't it? They can go back and forth in the time using a damn chair, but they can't build a spaceship.
There you go. So rename the book in 5 words or less.
Christopher and Sally in Japan. There you go.
Okay. I do have one final question. I'm assuming that you would highly recommend this book because
I do.
Yeah. So what's next?
Oh my goodness, guys. So I'm going to do the next episode of Welcome to Night Vale,
Okay.
the ATA meeting. I'm excited about that. And then I am audio booking The Golem and the Genie by Helen Wecker.
All right.
Not at all what I expected. I usually don't go for I think this is going in a romance space.
Okay.
I think
how far along are you in it?
I'm on chapter 3.
Okay.
So that's my audios. My gosh, my friend, we've done it all.
So until next time, definitely join us for Turn the Page Tuesdays. Thanks for listening, everybody.
I know. Until next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.
That's a wrap. Time to close the book on today's episode. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Casey. If you had fun, hit the like, follow, and subscribe. Make sure you click on the bell icon.
You can also email us at spilledinkancofeeshow@gmail.com. Send us your questions, tell us what you're reading, or share what we should dive into.
Until next time, keep your coffee hot.
And your pages turning.
Bye, guys.
Spilled ink, endless coffee, and great book chats. That's what we're all about.
If you're enjoying the podcast and want to help fuel our next episode, buy us a coffee.
Click the link in our show notes or bio.
Your support means the world, and every sip keeps the pages turning.
Craving bookish banter? The podcast has heard your request and we are answering the call. Hey book lovers, join the Spilled Ink and Coffee Society. We're a monthly virtual book club, but not your typical one. Every first Sunday of the month, 2-ish to 4-ish, we discuss your favorite books. No assigned reading list here. You read what you want, when you want. It's easy. Bring your favorite read. Physical, digital, audio. Even if you don't keep a book journal or analyze every chapter, just bring the book you loved. And don't forget your favorite drink. As we chat, we laugh, we share. Come for the books, stay for the banter. Invite your friends, bookworms, and fellow story lovers, because the more the merrier. So mark your calendars, grab a book, and join us for the Spilled Ink and Coffee Society. Go to our website, thespilledinkancofeeshow.com, and register for free today.